Hey everybody. So if you're seeing this, it's because you're watching one of the many things I filmed a long time ago and never got around to editing. But I now have a Patreon. You can go there, select the tier you would like, anywhere from general support at $1 to the artistic tier, which is $40, but the others are music reactions, two or $3, I forget now, and then show reactions and movie reactions each have their own tier at $5 each. You get 1 month early access for everything except for the music, which is 2 weeks early access. And then for the art, it's not necessarily early access, but you get a piece of work for yourself and all of that. But I am going to try to get early access videos up on that tier as well. So please check it out. Link is in the description. Any questions, just ask. Otherwise, you'll have to wait a month and then watch what is coming for free on YouTube. But the any support I do get on Patreon goes towards having an editor, so it will help with that. So please consider. All right, back to the regularly scheduled program. Gosh, y'all, it's been forever since I've done my what I would do if I were president, and a lot has gone down since. I've been trying to think about where do I begin again, but there's just so much going on, and with everything that has happened with Venezuela and now the threats to Iran and the threats to Greenland, and then our own people, for lack of a better way of putting it, our own people being attacked by our government. You know, this is just a few days after Renee was shot and killed. It's like, okay, how do you rein a government like this in so that no future administrations can do anything like this? And inevitably, the bottom line that I come to is that in order to make sure something like this never happens again, you would also have to take certain rights or overturn precedent that we've had for years, or something like that, so that stuff like this does not get out of hand like it's gotten. And our justice system is just way too slow to rely on it to rein everything in. I mean, look how long it took Jack Smith to build up a solid case against Trump. And by the time he was ready to go to court, he was running for president, and that delayed everything. So, how do we go about things? One of the things that I think would be beneficial, and this is in the realm of going to war with any countries, or not even war, just attacking, because that's part of how Trump has gotten away with it. He's not declaring war, right? He's just attacking. One of the things that I think would help is if the president could not make unilateral decisions about attacking other countries without talking with the Senate majority and minority and House majority and minority leaders, and everybody's on board and everybody agrees, whether reluctantly or not. Everybody has the same intel, and they can say, yes, this is something we need to do, that kind of stuff. And I would say those people at a minimum, because we could at least have them get into their mobile skiffs. I don't know if Congress members, I know they have access to skiffs. I don't know if they have access to a mobile skiff, and that would have to be something to be looked at. But I know that the president does. because they have to be able to go into a skiff at any moment to get sensitive information. So I think the leaders in both the Senate and the House should also have that priority of being able to set those up so that they can be consulted at a moment's notice if something is going down. And I think that would help some. I also think before we start attacking other countries, we need to rely on the intel of our allies, which Trump has always been a I can do everything myself kind of thing. I can do whatever I want myself kind of thing. And you can't run a country by yourself. Right now, he has all of his yes men in the places he wants them so that they'll say yes. So he thinks he can do whatever he wants. But before we break international law, before we cause enemies out of our allies, all that kind of stuff, there should be some type of mandate about consulting with our allies. Sorry, that arm's getting tired already. So I don't know if we can have any type of mandate about they have to consult with our allies before taking any steps, any measures, but definitely the House and the Senate. And if that's too much, then let's make it just the House, or not the House, the Senate majority and minority leader that would have to be consulted before the president could do anything unilaterally. And not saying that they can then do unilaterally, because that defeats the definition, right? But before they could take any steps, I think that would help a lot. And that would keep any administration from going off the rails. And if any administration did try to take any actions without those people being consulted first, then they could immediately arrest the Secretary of Defense, the other military personnel. I was trying to think of what to call them, but the other military personnel that may be consulted and say, yes, you can do it without Congress's approval. They could be immediately arrested. To hell with going through an impeachment process. They could be arrested. And then part of my initial stuff with I can do anything I want kind of powers, some of the stuff of when I first got in, what I would do. Well, the president would not have authority to do whatever they want. They would not have immunity. And so the president could be held immediately if something like that were to happen without consulting Congress, either Senate and House, or at least the Senate. I could still see that being abused, and I don't think there's any clean system that wouldn't get abused, but I think that would at least help a lot. And including the leaders of both parties to be consulted, I think helps a lot as well, and takes us back to negotiation and compromising and working together and bipartisan and all of that kind of stuff. So that's kind of my thinking on some of this stuff lately that's been going on. So what would you do to try to rein in the control of the president once you were elected president? What would you do to try to keep the powers of the presidency from being abused and ruining our relationship with all of our allies and doing international criminal behaviors, kind of stuff? What would you do to try to keep it all in check? Comment down below.